But we will move on to item number 3. This is really exciting. I know Ms. Emerald's excited. I am excited. We have been waiting some time for this, and I am pleased to be able to docket that for discussion here at this committee. Item 3 is a report from Groundwork San Diego regarding the initiation of a comprehensive study for the designation of Chollas Creek as a regional park. Long time coming. Councilmember Emerald and I, in addition to Ms. Cole, have really been excited about this, looking forward to this. We've been working for a couple of years on this, and we thank this organization for coming forward today. We have Vicky Estrada from Estrada Land Planning who's going to make the presentation. Is Leslie going to join you, or it'll be you? Okay. Thank you very much. We are going to put 10 minutes on the clock for you. All right?
Okay, thank you. However, even though Leslie is not joining us, she is the heart and soul of Groundwork. So she just wanted to kind of keep a low profile. So I am Vicky Estrada. I'm a landscape architect with Estrada Land Planning, just a couple blocks away. And I'm a board member of the Groundwork San Diego. And about 2000 or so, we actually started. We prepared this document, Chollas Creek Enhancement Plan, which a lot of you have seen, and it was approved in 2002. And it came up with a lot of recommendations. Up until this time, Chollas Creek really had its back turned upon. You know, people dumped stuff. It was concrete. Nobody wanted to make Chollas Creek anything worthwhile. So we came up with a pretty obvious concept, and that is, you know, the creek should really be the spine of the community, not something you turn your back on. And that kind of began to evolve and became a little bit bigger, encompassing the entire watershed. So as a result, really, of that report, Groundwork San Diego was formed, a nonprofit environmental organization. What's really our focus is the Chollas Creek watershed, to really improve it. And it's not just the creek. We're talking about land use and restoring canyons, and you know, it's in the entire watershed. So it's a pretty significant organization. We got some great board members, and as I said, Leslie really works hard. I mean, this is all she ever thinks about day and night. So, you know, I wouldn't be here today without Leslie's effort. So, thinking back a little bit, if you look at this photograph, our canyons and our watersheds really do define us. You can imagine without those canyons. And on the right-hand side, green are the canyons, and the dark green, the light green is open space. We would be Los Angeles. We would be the LA basin, with all due respect to Los Angeles. But the basin itself, there's no defining features. That's one of the things that makes San Diego just so special. Very few places have that kind of specialness. So just bear that in mind as we go through this. This is the Pueblo watershed. The Chollas watershed is that white area kind of in the middle, a little bit off to the right. So it's a lot bigger than you think. It even encompasses a good portion of La Mesa and Lemon Grove, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. Now, you've all probably, hopefully, read Richard Louve's book, Last Child in the Woods. The last line is the only line I'm going to read here, and that is, what if natural corridors for wildlife extended deep into urban territory and urban psyche, and thereby creating an entirely different environment in which children could grow up and adults could grow old? That's what we're talking about. I mean, Chollas Creek has a lot of history, a lot of culture, and people question, well, how's it going to be a regional park? Who's going to want to come down here? Well, we beg to differ. We think there's a lot of neat, special things. If you look at this map, in the red, this is current park access for children of color living in poverty with no access to a car. A good portion of our park that you will see where we're talking about is actually surrounded by the area in red. So it would actually help increase access to park uses. Trail connectivity. This is the southern fork of the on the right-hand side. You can see yellow is being designed right now. Green exists. Red does not. There's no continuity. The hope is to be able to get on your bike in Lemon Grove and actually ride all the way to downtown, and maybe even at some point without crossing the street. Who knows? But that is the goal, to begin to tie this together. And just imagine, what if the area you see in light green and the yellow, you know, that could be phase one, encompassing some of the Caltrans corridors, encompassing the canyons, encompassing some of the canyons that already are designated open space. I know I see Chris Zirkle in the back and Herman Parker. I mean, we have talked to them about this concept. And the big green area in the upper right is the Chollas lake, and also the recreation area down there on the bottom, encompassing the landfill as well. So this is a very preliminary idea, vision, what this park could actually begin to look like. Now, to help you understand, it's not something we're just coming up with out of the blue. We have been working on a lot of little projects. I'm just going to briefly go through them. Bayshore Bikeway Trail, actually groundwork was the impetus behind this. The upper right-hand corner, Southcrest Park, the Civic San Diego has an RFP out for that now. We did the concept plan, but they have an RFP out to actually prepare construction documents. Lower left-hand corner, the creek restoration around the Jackie Robinson Y, the Chollas Creek crossing at 47th and Costana. You can see that's when you had your Civic Innovation Lab. They designed that for us. The community built it. Okay. Right now we're working with Jacobs on activating the Creek project, trying to enhance Chollas Creek and make it much more special than it already is. I mentioned Chollas Creek and the lake. Down there by the old KSON tower, there's potential to turn that into a park. And one of the things that we're most proud of, which is starting to take shape, is the Earth Lab at the southwest intersection of Euclid and 94. And you'll be hearing more about that later. Now, you say, Vicki, well, the creek looks like this now, and it does. There are a lot of places where it looks like this. However, this was about 8 years ago. This is the same creek a few years later. And this is Chollas Creek just east of Euclid and just south of Market. You can see that concrete channel. We were able to take out the northern half of the channel of the wall and actually restore it back to native vegetation. Now, your general plan, I'm not going to read every word, so don't worry about that. But basically, it starts saying that what is a regional park, and the key line here on the bottom is located at the site of distinctive scenic, natural, historical, and cultural features. That really is Chollas Creek. And the important thing here is on the bottom, even the general plan talks about locating, it's a little small for me, canyon and other open space trails to take advantage of existing pathways. So again, this is your general plan that starts to plant the seed, okay? Now, you all are pretty aware, I'm not going to brief you on why parks are important. There's so many benefits, economic, environmental, community value. People take up their sense of value just really is raised when they have parks they can work on. Their public health is improved, educational value, and the current community plans, this is the Encounter plan, and it flat out says, study the concept of a regional park in Chollas Creek. Okay, so again, it's in the plan. You can see it in the very bottom. Prepare a comprehensive study analyzing Chollas Creek's outstanding and distinctive natural, cultural, and historic features as a regional park. So it's already been kind of set in motion. So imagine if these are the kind of parks in the area and some of the trails, what if all that green I showed you and all these existing parks, they're all connected and they're all linked. Last month, I actually presented to the Lemon Grove City Council. As I mentioned, a lot of their watershed, it was within Chollas Creek. They could not have been happier. The authorized staff, yes, go work with them. Let's make this happen. We want to be part of this regional park. Greg Cox has set up a meeting with a presentation to La Mesa. We understand they're going to be very excited about it as well. Park and Rec Board a couple of weeks ago approved the concept to allow us to go ahead and initiate the plan. And hopefully, I know it's not an action item today, but eventually at least have a recommendation from your committee to study the concept of the regional park designation. We have been working with city staff, to try to make this work better. So the actual comprehensive master plan, we're looking at about 2 years. And we're probably thinking somewhere between 250 and 700,000, depending on how detailed it is. We would obtain a recommendation of approval eventually when that master plan is done and designated as a regional park, and then move forward. Now, is this going to be a slam dunk? Of course not, because this is not like Mission Trails where you have your park boundary, there's the park. This is kind of a hybrid, and it's not something that's been normally done. However, there may be possibilities in terms of how we can actually create linkages in Caltrans Waterway, for example. So we feel very strongly that there are ways maybe that have not been done before, but that we, the community, your staff, and groundwork can actually make this regional park happen. So therein is my fairly quick presentation. So I'm here for any questions, please.
Thank you, Vicki. Quick, but to the point and very clear, and we appreciate all your work you've done over the years on this, and as well as Leslie's. I turn it over to my colleague, Ms. Emerald.
I'm very excited about this. Every time I see some new development along Chollas Creek in the way of getting it cleaned out or a trail, it makes me feel as though all of this is possible. Do you foresee that the cities and the jurisdictions along the creek should all be part of funding this master plan? Or
well, that would be our hope.
Does?
We see a combination, whether it's a combination from the foundation, the city, the county, and La Mesa and Lemon Grove. There's a lot of our organizations, maybe some other nonprofits could pitch in along the way. So it's not going to come from one source of money. There's greening grants and a lot of other places that perhaps we're going to have to explore where is this money coming from. But we've got a pretty good group of people that we believe can get that money to make it happen.
Right, and the projects that are currently underway or
yes.
Out for RFPs and so forth will help along the way, but those are just pieces
the little catalyst
the
projects, and hopefully they'll be all connected.
All right. Hey, this is a great report. Count on us to be engaged fully. We'll figure out some strategies for getting some money in, but I absolutely support getting a master plan study going, get that prepared, bring it back, and get some approval so
Great.
that we can move ahead. And future generations, current generations of young people and residents will be able to enjoy it.
Good. Thank you.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you.
That's it?
Mr. Gloria.
You're not that lucky, Vicki. First of all, I would just say thank you for all that you do. I know this is one of many just great projects that you personally involved in. I know that many of them are labors of love as opposed to parts of your actual business. And we're just really fortunate to have you. You're a Renaissance person. I can't believe all the things that you get done in a day. And this one is very special, obviously. And particularly for the slide that you had in terms of the communities that are impacted. As Ms. Emerald knows, I used to have a fair amount of this in my council district, and there are incredible people there for whom this is their park, right? This is we're park deficient, and it's not a negative thing. These are actually beautiful jewels, as you mentioned. They just need some polishing, and so I'm grateful that you're giving us, some pathways to making that more an even better regional asset. Along those lines, getting the designation as a regional park obviously comes with some opportunities for additional funding, and so I guess I would ask the mayor's office: is the mayor supportive of designating Choice Creek as a regional park?
I'd like to look into that a little bit further. I appreciate the presentation.
We have presented to your staff, though. Yeah.
Yes, the green belts are so important. I haven't considered or spoken to anyone in our office about the designation as a regional park issue, so I'll just have to circle back and get back to you on that.
Thank you, and that's fine. I mean, obviously, you're still in this is an informational item. There's still many steps to be taken, but I certainly would be supportive. We have a number of properties. It's not just the three, Mission Bay, Balboa Park, and Mission Trails. Obviously, there are others that are designated as regional parks. I think this one would qualify, acknowledging the budgetary impacts, or not impacts, but the access to funds that it may allow it to have, which I would be supportive of. Obviously, getting a sense from the administration would be important. Again, Vicki, great job, and certainly to everyone who's involved in this. I know there are many candidating advocates. That's why our candidates are so important, and I'm just grateful and anxious to see how this plays out. So, count on my support, and please keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gloria. Mr. Kate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the presentation. I love canyons too because they're all in my district, and I love them as well. Just a quick question to follow up on Council President Pro Tem Emerald about the other jurisdictions. In their actions, was there any other? Were they open for a commitment of funding, or
it was too soon for that.
Okay.
The purpose was to just let Lemon Grove City Council aware and get them excited that this is something we want to be part of, and that's as far as they got. Okay. But I think they did in their conversation, they did say, well, maybe we can get money here, we can do this. So they did talk about it during the actual discussion.
Okay. And then you've yet to go to La Mesa, you said?
Correct.
Okay, and is there a timeline of when you're...
Hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, perfect. Well, obviously look forward to what they've presented and said too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kate. I have a few more questions because I am as excited, I think, as Ms. Emerald about this, given that I serve on the Bayshore Bikeway and this is the connectivity, representing Shelltown, which again also connects, and having lived actually in Southcrest for a little bit, for a year of my life, I am really interested in this and excited about it. I want to know a little bit more about the process because I want to make sure that we're on the right track. Okay. And so Mr. Herman is here, and I don't know if you want to tackle this or if there's city staff that can actually address, like, what do we need to do to get to the next step. There's a lot of talk and enthusiasm, but we want to get moving. So what happens next?
Good afternoon. Happy Friday. Andy Fields, City of San Diego Park and Recreation Department. Mr. Parker and I have been conversing with members of Groundwork over the past several months. This is actually a planning initiative, so the planning department will bring them into their process for planning parks, and that all the work they've done to date would then be folded into that. And as Mr. Hansen had mentioned just a minute ago, this is something we want to bring forward to the mayor as well. But in terms of process, it will really, next step will be for the applicants here to bring this forward to the planning department and go through a typical planning department process of review and so forth.
Okay, so don't go. Just I want clarity. So the nonprofit Groundwork San Diego will have to apply like somebody else who is applying for a development permit to get review and approval by the planning department?
As I am not a planner, I don't want to speak on what that process is, but I do know that Groundwork has been working with specific park planners in the planning department, so they will guide them through the process. But as I'm not the holder of that process, I don't want to elaborate further and speculate as to what that process might be.
So let me ask you, Vicky, do you know what the cost of that is, or have you been... You're working with the park planner now, so
yeah,
what is
we're
the park
working with
planner?
Jeff Harkness at the city on this, and
is Jeff here?
I don't think so.
Okay.
He had a conflict. However, we have been working with him on what this cost might be, and that's why we raised it up to about $700,000 because we think it's going to be a little higher than we were being a little optimistic with the $250,000. So
that is the cost for you to apply?
No, that is the cost to actually prepare the master plan, the comprehensive master. Just like, for example, the San Diego River had their big master plan study, it would be a document like that with guidelines and so forth. So.
Andy, would this be appropriate, since it's La Mesa's now talking and Lemon Grove and the county sounds like, I don't know that they have any land, but is this appropriate for like a JPA or Vicky, do you know that? Do either of you know that?
Well, it's certainly possible like San Diego did, right? And because it governs, it was a little different there, but not that different because there was a lot of private properties as well along, just like the San Diego River, right? So there are ways to create that. So that's an idea that we actually have discussed with the four different agencies involved. Is it possible to do a JPA? It is. Is that desirable? Not sure yet. That's part of the process that we'll have to determine how do we best make this happen.
So when will you submit to planning, or has it, I still am not clear, when is this beginning the official process that needs to begin?
Well, I mean, the official process we can almost start in the next couple of weeks just to kind of turn in the basics to see what kind of response the city, the DST gives us. And are you going to need an EIR? Are you going to need this? So that complete environmental review process that Andy was talking about, review process, we have to go through and to see what it is that specifically they're going to require, because this is different than any park they've ever seen before. So we're not quite sure what they're going to require. So that's why this is a little bit up in the air.
Okay. So are you going to be submitting that then?
Yes.
Okay.
It is our hope in 2 or 3 months, maybe at the worst, we could submit something to get this in motion.
Okay.
The sooner the better. We don't want to lose momentum.
Right. And then the cost would be something that we have to address at some point, whether the city provides some funds to this, the multiple cities provide funds,
maybe we do it in
the
pieces.
grants.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Andy. Appreciate you answering those technical questions. So it sounds like we've got a plan moving forward. As to what goes next, I'd like for you to keep us updated and let us know